Hey, it's the Echo Wedding. Today, I want to talk to you about finding your spiritual sanctuary or creating it. This can be a place that you go when you need to escape the outside world, but more importantly, this is a place you go when you need to reconfigure external reality. I'm going to talk to you about ways that you can do that and my own personal recent experiences with needing to find a spiritual sanctuary. Now, I've helped thousands of people find their own spiritual paths. And I've helped more than that, more than I can even count, of spiritual sorcerers find their power and find methods that they've been able to use to take everything to the next level. And if you can use my personal guidance in your life, if you can use my expertise or my magical power to assist you, book a consultation with me right now at balg.co/consultations. Hey everybody, it's the Echo Wedding here. And I just got back from an event that I'm not going to name. They don't want me to advertise for them, and I don't want to advertise for them. It is what it is. It's an ancient pagan ritual. And while I was there at this event, at this recreation of an ancient human sacrifice rite, it's a recreation of the ancient ritual of the turning of seasons and the turning of years and the turning of ages. I learned quite a few things about myself and about magic. Simple things. I was reminded of the importance of the small things. And one of those is the need for sacred space. You see, I live an intense lifestyle. I don't know how much you know about my lifestyle, how much you think you know about my lifestyle. But I can tell you that what you may think you know is only the tip of the iceberg. I live an intense lifestyle, an intense life, magically, physically, psychologically, emotionally. I push everything to its furthest extreme. And so in the din of motion, movement, energy swirling around me, I often find myself getting lost. Really getting lost in the whatever I'm immersed in, whatever's happening at that moment, I can become very lost in. So, one of the things I've had to learn to do is to take my attention and focus it where I want it to go. You know, I've been dealing with Azazel a lot lately. I've been evoking him invoking him. I've been working with his right hand, Antaratu. And some of the things, once again, some of the things that I've learned are just bringing everything back to the basics, back to the foundations. So I asked about and meditated on the subject of non-attachment. Non-attachment. This is one of the primary principles in every ascendant spiritual practice. Non-attachment. Now, as a father and a lover and a partner, how do I practice non-attachment without excluding or pushing away the people that I value, the people that I love? And then on the other hand, with my career, with magic, how do I not attach to this? How do I not attach to the beauty and the power and the knowledge that floods in? Would then non-attachment look a lot like apathy? And it might, to some, it might. But Azazel came and Antaratu came. And Azazel made it very clear. Attachment is when you buy the reality that's presented before you. That you accept that as reality. Rather than injecting your own reality into your vision, into your perspective, and focusing on that until that becomes true reality. How often do we buy what's simply presented to us? If somebody puts feces on a plate and puts it on your dinner place, you're not going to eat that. I hope you're not going to. But that's what we do with reality. We accept that what is just default, what is just happening, is real. And then we have to do something. We have to work with that. Then we have fallen into the greatest trap of attachment. We just bought a line of bullshit because it's the only one that was presented for us. But it's not the only one, you see. Over and over and over again in my career of presenting information to you, I always warn against escapism, using magic as an escape from reality. And I have to backpedal a little bit here. Because what I've learned, surrounded by chaos and a million people who all think they're doing exactly what their destiny is driving them to do, and most of them are just being mindless assholes. Being presented with a chaotic reality that makes no sense on any greater transcendental awareness. I've had to approach the sacred space, an altar, a temple, a shrine, and recollect myself and tune into all of the possibilities of all realities. The reality that is presented for you is just a starting point. It's just a point of reference that you can look at and say, not that. Not that, my friend. That's not what I accept. And then you can refine your own vision. What then will you accept? Most of the time, this can only be achieved or attained through clearing the slate, through clearing out the default reality that's presented to you. Now, I didn't have, for the past couple of weeks, I didn't have my ritual tools. I didn't bring them with me. I didn't have my altar, my candles, my chalice, my sword. All that I really had were the clothes on my back, a bicycle, and a small city in the middle of the desert with other people's temples and other people's shrines. And I went before one of these shrines in a moment of absolute need to surrender to the spiritual, psychic, astral reality. I need to surrender to something besides the chaos of default reality that was being presented to me. So I sat in front of this altar, another person's altar, an altar that had been created actually by several people. And the first day I went to it and I held my hands over the objects, and they were just objects. They were just dead, lifeless objects. I thought, this isn't an altar, this isn't a shrine. It's a table full of shit. And I walked away. And walked back into the chaos. The blasting lights and lasers and the music and the thumping and thudding of monster noises in the darkness. And for a day I struggled, difficult struggles, trying to find the magician within me, to summon him forth from within me, to become the being of power that I knew I was. I'd lost it for a moment. And I needed it back. And I had none of my things. I had none of my things. All I had was myself. And so I went to this shrine again, to this temple created by others. And I realized that if I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, I had to make it what I wanted it to be. And so I took the candles and I held them and I imbued them with my spirit, with the spirit that is within me, with the darkness that is within me, with the flame that is within me. They had stones, crystals that I held and imbued with my power. I knew that others had already done this, those who had set the shrine up and had opened it to public use had already put their energy into it. But that wasn't enough. It didn't have my energy. You see, I am the living God of my reality. If the altar was not created and consecrated by me, it is no altar at all. If the candles and their flames do not bear my signature, then they are not consecrated. Once I had imbued all of the elements upon the altar with the spirit that I wanted them to have. It then became my sacred place, my holy place, my place of power. That regardless of the chaos that ensued around me, which had this particular event, it is nothing but chaos. It's chaos given machine form, robot bodies, chaos with monster sounds, and nearly 100,000 other minds and other wills pushing in their own directions. And so I would come to this altar, the altar that I created, that I had imbued with my power. And I would sit before it and light the candles. I would take their singing bowls, and I would bring myself into the other world, into the crossroads. All of the din around me, all of the chaos, all of the noise, all of the movement quieted. I became calm, and the world around me became calm. I became focused, and the world around me stopped. I entered into the crossroads, and the world around me disappeared. And from there, I could begin to reconstruct reality. Layering it like a lithograph page upon another. My reality taking dominance. My reality asserting itself over the default. One of the layers to this is indeed the escapism. You see, if we're going to talk about escapism as a negative thing, it can only be a negative thing if the thing that you're escaping to does not exist. If it's merely fantasy, then it is escapism. But these other worlds of astral light, they are real. The crossroads is real. The demons are real. Magic is real. Now, when I came home after 2 weeks in the desert, 2 weeks with shaman and sorcerers, with witches and healers, with prophets and kings, I returned home, and I'd almost forgotten the lesson that I learned. Until this world, just mundane, default world, started becoming too chaotic for me. There were no lasers or monster sounds. There were no musical cacophonies around me. But there were things to do, tasks to complete, people to interact with, relationships to tend. And I remembered what I had learned. When you enter into your temple, or you enter into any sanctuary, you are not retreating to a sanctuary, but you are nullifying the chaos within. When you are agitated, your enemy's forces multiply against you. When you are calm, the world becomes calm around you. And so when you find yourself becoming overwhelmed by anything that default reality has thrown before you, presented to you, the first reality that's presented to you, if it's not a reality that you desire, if it's a reality that stresses you out, if it's a reality that depresses you, don't accept it. Instead, come here to your sanctuary. And you can find a sanctuary, just as I found one in the desert. You can find sanctuaries in cities, in the forms of churches, chapels. You know, I've lit candles and prayed in churches, and I've invoked demons, armies and armies of them, to do my will. It doesn't matter what the person who has loaded the altar has put into it with their intentions or their will. You, as God of your world, can nullify that. You can take all of it, erase their energy, put yours in it. You are more powerful than most other people around you. You are the God of your world. And so come to your altar that you either create or you find. And this, you have, if you want it to exist, you have to bring it. You have to build it. If you want it to exist, you have to imagine it. You have to bring it into creation, bring it into existence. And so create your altar in your home, in your garage, in your temple, in your closet, or find some sacred space that you can go outdoors, or borrow someone else's sanctuary and make it your own. And there open up a gateway within yourself to the crossroads. Nullify the reality that is presented to you. Focus entirely upon the sanctuary, upon the altar, and see the reality that you desire and push that into being. Now, there are many, many, many other instructions I can give you on how to do this. This is what my work is. This is what I'm doing day after day after day. And I know that you are paying attention. I know that you have been listening. And I know that you are following this path in your ascent. And I know that you are succeeding. So don't forget this, that when at any point when default reality gets to you, when you find yourself struggling, that all that you need to do is find your sanctuary, turn your attention fully to it, and rewrite reality the way that you want it to be as God of your world. Thank you. Alash, Taralash, Talashtu.